Welcome. Scott here. Today I am bringing you another video on Black Clover Mobile. This video will focus on which SSR Mage or skill page that you should choose from the free tickets that you have earned from Event Arena. To earn the tickets, you need to buy them from Event Arena Exchange Center with Event Arena coins. To get the coins, you will get them by participating the Event Arena. Participating means just take part. It doesn't matter you win or lose. Play the arena 40 times and you can get up to 1,150 Event Arena coins. If you win a match in the Event Arena, you will get 35 to 45 coins, depends on the disparity between your rank and opposition's rank. If you lose a match, you will still get 15 Event Arena coins. Even you lose all the matches in the Event Arena, you will probably get enough coins to exchange for one of the tickets. I have done an infographic on that. You can refer it to the pinned comment for the infographic. Other than the tickets from the Event Arena, you can also get these tickets from shop menu via exchanging in-game materials for it. For SSR Mage summon ticket, which allows you summon the default batch of mages that you have seen on the screen. You can get the ticket by going to Mage Pieces menu. To get the ticket, you need to exchange 6 SSR Mages enhancement pieces. This purchase is limited to 1 per account. Personally, I won't recommend you to do so, as SSR Mage enhancements are better off by using to enhance your mages or use them to purchase time-limited mage skill pages such as the seasonal skill page. For the SSR Skill Page Selector ticket, you can buy it from the Skill Page Salvage menu. The price is 50 skill minerals. To get skill minerals, you need to salvage SR Skill Page. To get SR Skill Page, you can get them via friendship summon or your daily login from your guild attendance rewards. Accumulate 200 friendship points will allow you to do a multi-summon of 10 pulls. Friendship points can be earned via gifting to your friends or using assisting mages. The Selector ticket will reset every month. In other words, as long as you are able to constantly maintain 50 skill minerals, you will be able to get this ticket for free every month. So do help yourself and your friend by gifting every day. Before I continue to give you a breakdown on the mages that you should exchange for, let me showcase on how to do skill page salvage and obtain the minerals. Okay. Out of the 11 default mages, there are 5 mages that I feel that they are the cream of the crop and everyone play the game should try to get them. Similar to any gacha game, you need to build up your roster so you have the options to tackle PvE events or limited events such as World Boss, Raids, or endgame content like the Hall of Illusions. I didn't include Charlotte because everyone will get her for free. Let's start off with the most important SSR Mage, Lotus. If you watch my reroll guide, he is the mage that I will recommend people to reroll for with the selective summon pull. Lotus is the king of PvE content. Speed down and mobility drain can easily change the tide of the battle for you. With the 2 factors constantly remained in effect, technically the boss won't get their turn until their stamina gauge is filled. With Lotus, your party will get more turns before the enemies does. If your party can deal heavy damage, you probably will kill the enemies before they even get their turn to act. Lotus pairs well with his buddy Mars, which I will be covering later. Personally, I still recommend people to reroll for him if you are starting to play the game. He doesn't need heavy investment and his debuff utility is very useful for PvE content. Clearing PvE content allows you to get materials to power up your roster. Together with Julius and his buddy Mars, he formed the infamous trio of mobility drain speed down team. If you have swimsuit this will become even more effective. Since you can have the whole party draining the enemy's stamina, thus denying the boss their turns, it is possible to kill them before it could even touch your party. Generally, Lotus is good for world boss, raids and most limited events as long as the boss isn't immune to debuffs or reduced mobility. He can be used for squad boss nightmare stage of rousing fire and adversity by using the team comp that consist of him, Mars, Julius and Nebra. You probably will need to use him a lot for Hall of Illusions. He can be used to clear the last 3 key stages where stamina drain and speed down reign supreme on the bosses. Now let's cover Lotus Buddy Mars. Mars is one of the best defender mages of PvE content, and he is good for PvP content as well thanks to his stun utility. In this game, defender mages form the backbone of clearing end game content, as enemies will have turns unless you lower their speed and drain their stamina to deny them turns. Your mages has a limited pool of HP, unless you have healing utility, so constantly taking the attacks, they will eventually die. Don't be surprised in some of the end game stages that the boss can one-shot your mages. Generally, defender mages are deployed to take the brunt of the enemy's attack. Personally, I would try to collect 3 defender mages of each attribute type. Mars is currently the cream of the crop for the blue or technique attribute type. For budget option, you can use Soul instead. His LR passive gives your party debuff immunity at the start of the turn. This is very useful for PvP content. Mars can taunt with his skill 1 and stun with his skill 2. Upgrade his skills will improve the taunt and stun activation rate. His combined attack with Lotus is one of the best combined attack. It allows you to inflict reduced all attack to all enemies with 40% chance of inflict taunt along with 40% chance of activating stun. All effects are AoE. Upgrade the skill max will give you 50% chance of activating stun. As for his special, it can put on lower priority. For gear set, you can slap 6 defense pieces on him and let him go ham. Enhancing him will allows him to reduce the damage received. The higher his defense stats, the lesser the damage he received. At max enhancements, he can reduce damage received by 10%. Together with Julius and his buddy Lotus, he form the infamous trio of mobility drain speed down team. If you have swimsuit, you know, this will become even more effective. Since you can have the whole party draining the enemy's stamina, thus denying the boss their turns, it is possible to kill them before it could even touch your party. Generally, Mars is good for world boss, raids and most time limited events. His taunt is good in negating healers or support units in PvP. His stun utility can come in clutch when you need it. He can be used for squad boss nightmare stage of rousing fire and adversity by using the team comp that consist of him, Lotus, Julius and Nebra. You probably will need to use him a lot for Hall of Illusions. He can be used to clear the last 3 key stages where stamina drain and speed down reign supreme on the bosses. In my initial clear of Hall of Illusion 80, I have abused his stun utility to pay back at the annoying mechanics for that stage. Now let's cover on the other defender mage that you can find in the Selector summon. Before I continue my quick review on the unit, you might ask this question. If I have Mars, do I need raids? Honestly speaking, I would advise you to get them both if possible. Even their function are similar. There are certain stages where barrier is useful, especially if the enemies uses lot of AoE attacks. Generally raids works well in barrier team comp and pairs well with other barrier units, swimsuit Noel and Kohano. The barrier buff value will scales off his magic stats. Thus his gear set, you can slap 4 big defense pieces and 3 small magic pieces on him. Or you can swap for magic stats to bulk up his barrier. His skill 1 has a chance of inflicting poison. His skill 2 raises the party defense and offers damage reduction if you have his skill page. His special provides an AoE barrier to the entire party. The value of the barrier can be upgraded by enhancing his skill levels. Maxing out the skill will double the value of the barrier he puts up on the party. Generally, Rades is good for PvE and average for PvP until he has at least 2 levels of enhancements. The reason is because enhancing him at level 2 will allows him to have 30% chance of inflict taunt on the attacker. This will causes the attacker to focus on him and they cannot attack your attacker mages until the taunt effect wears off. Of course, these won't be useful against AoE attacks or combined attacks. Unlike Mars, he also need his skill page more since he will most likely have lower defenses compared to full defense defender mages like Mars. If you have swimsuit Noel, his value will be further enhanced as his barrier buff provides status ailment immunity. This can allows Noel to attack without the fear of getting stun or the barrier get removed. Similar to Mars, he is good for PvE content such as World Boss and Raids. He is also good for Squad Boss Nightmare, Rousing Void. Similar to Mars, you probably will need to use him a lot for Hall of Illusions. He has been used to clear Hall of Illusions 80 and floor 85. On using him to clear floor 85, you need to buff his barrier to extreme amount and have Mimosa revive any dead casualties. You set up your party to a very tanky setup. Now let's cover the steroids buffer Sally. A lot of people don't know the value of Sally since pull recommendations usually focus on units that fare well in both PvE and PvP content. Sally is very underwhelming for PvP. However, for PvE, if you deploy her in the correct setup, you see the value of having her in your roster. She is one of the game's best offensive buff supporter. Her skill 1 gives herself lifesteal buff. Her skill 2 gives the targeted mage a wholesome of offensive buffs, increase magic attack level 4 and increased critical rate level 4. The skill has 60% chance of extending the targeted mage buff. Fully upgrading skill 2 will allows the activation rate to be 100%. Her special grants the party increased attack level 3. The special ability also gives red or power attribute mages critical damage level 2 buff. She pairs very well with red attacker mages such as Clover Academy Asta, Swimsuit Noel, and Black Asta. Her use is a niche but replacement for her is hard to find. You can do content without her by enhancing your gear substats to extreme levels. The budget variant of supporter of her is Finral. Generally, she pairs well with nuker units such as Rhea, Black Asta, Julius, Clover Academy Jack, Kyoto and Clover Academy Asta. She is good for deploying in Squad Boss Nightmare Rousing Void despite having an attribute disadvantage since her purpose is to inject steroids on Rhea for the latter to get ham on the boss. She can be used for Hall of Illusions 85 and 95 where you use a nuking setup to kill off the boss. With nuking parties concerned, having the mages is one thing, having the correct gear with the minimal critical rate and critical damage is important as well. So don't blame on Sally if you are unable to nuke the boss. Now let's cover the well-rounded supporter unit William. If you have been playing Global recently, you might be wondering why there is a sudden surge of William in PvP arena. This is probably due to everyone has grind for mage enhancement chests by reaching reputation level 4 in each of the worlds. Upon reaching level 4 reputation for each worlds in the game, you get a chest that allows you to get a mage enhancement shard. Do note that getting a mage enhancement shard doesn't get the mage if you don't have a copy of them initially. So choose only if you already own the mage in your roster. If you want to get William, make sure you have the capabilities of maxing out his enhancements. A base William compared to a maxed dupe William is like comparing heaven and earth. Before I continue on explaining the importance of max dupe for William, let me give a quick overview on his kit. His skill 1 has 40% chance of turning a target into a tree. His skill 2 grants the target the following buffs: increased attack level 4, increased speed level 4 and also a 60% chance of granting 10% increased mobility. You can improve the probability to a guarantee trigger by maxing out this skill. If you have his skill page, the ability will give the target debuff immunity as well. His special grants the party fortify buff and grants the unit with the highest attack stats, counter attack buff. His kit seems very generic, right? But you might be wondering why people are using him in arena. At max dupe along with a max support talent wheel, William is the game fastest unit, Being fastest will give you a significant advantage in arena or PvP content. Pair him with combined attacks like Mars for AoE stun or Black Asta for guaranteed stun, or use his skill to move up the selected mage's turn is the first reason why people uses William in arena. His speed attribute only get boosted from enhancement level 4 onwards. This is the main reason why William is rated S tier for arena. For PvE content, he can be used for world boss and raids for his fortify and speed buff utility. He can be used in Hall of Illusions floor 80, floor 85, and floor 95. Now I have covered the overview on all the 5 mages. You will be wondering, will be good to exchange for dupes or getting a new mage? Personally, I would advise players to get new mages over dupes. Getting a new mages means you have a mage to farm for bond levels and black crystals to be earned from bond level 10 onwards. It will also help to diversify your roster. You will never know when a certain mage from your bench could end up saving your day. For the default mages, you can get copies of them over the course of your gameplay, since you will be pulling in future banners and they are always in any banner pools. Among the 5 mages, William needs to be enhanced to max dupe, while the other mages are functionable even they are in base level or level 2 enhancements. Now let us focus on the skill page selector. Before I continue to do a quick brief on what each skill page does, let me give a quick explanation on how mages type affect the type of skill page that they could equip. Generally, an attacker mage can equip his or her own skill page or any other attacker mage skill page. For example, Swimsuit Noelle can equip Julia's skill page and vice versa. Lotus can equip Charlotte's skill page and Charlotte also equip his. However, equip the skill page is one. Understand the value of what the skill page could bring is important. The general rule of thumb is get the mage his or her own designated skill page. The skill page can be upgraded up to level 5 and give 2 effects, upgraded skill effect and passive skill. Upgraded skill effect will affect the corresponding mage only. The passive skill from the skill page will applies for any mage that belong that class of mages. Example, Julia's skill page will enhance his skill 2 but not any other attacker mages who equip the skill page, while the passive skill applies to any mage that equip the skill page. Out of the 12 skill pages, my recommendation for the selector skill page is Sally. Sally's skill page is the best supporter skill page and works well for almost all supporters since it enhances the unit's skill to include a guaranteed 10% increased attack buff. In my opinion, universal skill pages that support a variety of mages has better value over other skill pages. This is important since the rates of getting a SSR skill page is rather treacherous in the game. If you already have Sally's skill pages, it is time to get skill page for the mages that you own but you didn't have the skill page. Notable ones are William, Mars, Lotus, Rades, and Charlotte. On the screen, I have shown a table showing the passive skill on left and the additional enhancement that skill page brings for the designated mage. I will stop talking here and let you enjoy the reading. Do pause the video if you need more time to read. With this, I have come to end of my video guide. Hopefully, this video helps you to make your choice on which mages to select and which skill page to pick up. See you in the next video guide.